Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Pathways to Prevention podcast. I'm your host, Dave Closson, and I am really excited about today's episode. Today, we'll be diving into the stories and experiences the young leaders who recently attended the 11th Asian Youth Forum hosted by the Fourth Wave Foundation. This event brought together inspiring youth from across Asia to discuss some of the most pressing issues of our time, from mental health and climate change to social justice and community resilience. The energy and passion these young leaders bring to the table is something we can all learn from. And today, I have the pleasure of speaking with a few of them about their experiences. We'll explore what motivated them to attend, some of the issues that really resonated with them, and how they plan to use their voice to make a difference in their communities. So without further ado, let's jump into the conversation with some of the amazing youth leaders. All right, folks. We've got a room full today, and we're going to kick things off with just going around the room to invite y'all to introduce yourselves and maybe share a little bit about where you're from and a little bit about what brought you to the Youth Forum this year. So whoever would like to go first, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, I guess. So my name is experie. You can just call me Jimmy. I'm from Bhutan. It's a very small place in the Himalayas. And a little bit about what brought me to the Youth Forum is, well, I was a representative for a department called Department of Education Programs, and I'm a youth leader back in my country. And, I don't really do a lot of work in substance use, but I have had minor dealings with kids ranging from different age groups. So apparently the head of the department thought that I would be, I guess, a good participant, a good representative for their department. So they were like, you should try for this. And I got selected. And honestly, it was one of the most overwhelming experiences. And it was a very, how do I say this, motivational, inspirational. And to be honest, it really makes me want to make an impact on my community. So I think that's it from my side. Thank you.
Okay, so my name is Shine Sheriff, and I'm from the northeast of Assam. My state is northeastern part of India. And what brought me to the 11th Asian Youth Forum was I randomly got this notification from my university professor that there is this organization who is going to hold this youth forum in Kochi. And to be very honest, I went in pretty blank and little to no empathy for the people who are into substance use. And I am saying this very proudly that on my way back, I have developed a lot more empathy, a lot more knowledge, reality. I have seen the proper terms that we should use for the people as well as the substances themselves. So I think it is going to equip me more to deal with my surroundings. And I think I can do a little bit of influencing now better.
Hello, everyone. I am Muhammad Nori from Malaysia, and I study in UiTM Shah Alam in public relations. Why am I here today? Malaysia, to introduce about Malaysia, Malaysia is a country in Southeast Asia. But like many societies, we also face challenges, right, related to substance use. And actually, one alarming trend is the rise of mushroom vaping. So within Malaysia, it's concerning, and the rising cases happen about the vaping things and stuff. And what brought me here is that the feeling of volunteering and to voice out my opinion as a youth regarding the substance use in vaping. So I think to be here is a great opportunity for me to actually speak and talk about the substance use among the youth today. And it's really great to be here, actually. That's it from me.
I think I'll go next. Hello, Dave. My name is Vinay. I come from the south of India, from the state of Karnataka. What attracted me to the forum was an opportunity because I have been a part of different youth forums previously, but nothing particularly dedicated to substance use. So given the relevance of the problem in my community and the place I reside in, given that of it in the whole country as well, I felt it was an opportunity and a forum for me to explore what more I could do in this aspect. So yeah, that is it.
Hello, greetings from Sri Lanka, the beautiful island right below India. I'm Senuri Kodizaku. You can call me Senu. I'm a psychology undergraduate studying at the University of Peradeniya in Sri Lanka. So actually, my department recommended me for the youth forum as I am aspiring to be a counselor, and the field of substance use and prevention is really relevant to my future career. So the particular session that deeply resonated me was the module on the prevention influencer. That concept really integrated with me because we can serve as role models and make a positive influence towards our society. Actually, I was very excited, and this was my first experience in a youth forum, and this actually inspired me a lot.
Hello, everyone. Morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. My name is Le Phan Can Huy. You can call me Huy, or like the French word for oui. Yes. So I a bit about myself. I am from Vietnam, so I probably the nearest neighbor to Nori here. And I have the fortune to work in a field that I like, which is like working to aid and advocate for the rights of vulnerable communities, such as sexual minority, ethnic minorities, mental health issues like that. And one thing that I noticed among all these communities is that substance use are quite prevalent among them. So it was through that kind of connect me to the Asian Youth Forum. My boss actually connect me to this, but because he know what I'm interested in. So that's is how I got into this forum. Very fortunate of me.
So, hi, my name is Nishigandha, and I'm from a small state of India, which is Goa. And I've done psychology, so I'm a psychologist. I've been working with Fourth Wave for quite some time and working for the fields of both now. So, which is one is the substance abuse, prevention against substance abuse, and the other one is for the children with disabilities, for the inclusive education. And yeah, I'm quite excited to be on this podcast. So thank you so much for organizing this.
I can feel the passion and inspiration y'all have already brought to our conversation. And as we continue down this conversation, I kind of want to start with reflecting back on the youth forum. Was there maybe a particular session or pivotal moment that had a deep impact on you?
I guess I'll go first again. One of the most interesting sessions that I was actually a part of was the session about substance use disorder. I think it was the very first session. And they were talking about how the substance is separate from the person. So they're saying that the person is a victim. Most of the time, them using the substance is not really because they want to, but it's because they're undergoing certain circumstances. They are victims of the situation. And I think that really affected me in a way. It really changed my mindset on the word addict, It has a very negative connotation to it. And it made me realize that people who use substances are actually victims of their own situations. And it made me want to connect with them. It made me want to help them. And like I said, I really want to bring a change in my community. And I wanted to add something about my community, actually. I forgot to say this in the introduction, if you don't mind. So actually, in my community, we don't really have substances such as cocaine or anything like that. We have very minor substances, like we use paint thinners. The children are addicted to paint thinners, cannabis, smoking, alcohol. And these are actually very, very harmful for us. And it's surprising to see that kids ranging from ages to 10 to up until 25, 30, they use the substances on a daily basis. And having dealt with so many children, as a youth leader, it really affected me. I really felt that it was their own fault that they were using these substances. that they were just using it to be cool or whatever. But going to the forum, going to the Asian Youth Forum, I realized that they have their own circumstances that they're dealing with. They're victims of the situation. Maybe they have problems at home. Maybe they have problems in school. And it really made me think about everything, about all the people that I've seen using substances. And it made me realize that I really need to do something back in my community. I really need to give back. I really need to help these people. And this is one of the sessions that really resonated with me. And another session that I actually loved was on the 5th day at the closing ceremony. Sir C.C. Joseph, he was sharing a story, an anecdote about one of the members of the Fourth Way Foundation and how when he came back to India holding an award from this international game thing. And when he came back through the airport and, he was saying that people respected him for getting that award. And honestly, that story, it made me cry, honestly. I was like, wow, so he did something for his country and people respected him for that. No matter what the circumstances were in the past, they respected him for bringing a change to the community. And I wanted to also be, honestly, like him. I wanted to bring a change to the community and I wanted people to respect me. I wanted people to just look at me and be like, wow, he's someone I can look up to. So actually, I think those two were the biggest moments throughout the entire 5-day program. So yeah, thank you.
So as I told you before, the most impactful session for me was the concept of the prevention influencer. And as youth, we are the most directly impacted by this issue of substance use. And we believe that youth should be a part of every decision making. And we believe that youth should be an integral part of every decision making, planning, and implementation related to substance use. Because considering our context, our messages can be more credible and relatable and reliable, and they could be effective, relevant, and more attuned to the needs of the most affected people. For example, more than the adults, youth can be influenced by peer pressure. So we could do the opposite of it. Instead of the negative peer pressure, we can force positive peer influence on them. And also, when we are implementing those initiatives by ourselves, we get empowerment and ownership. When we are involved in creating and leading these prevention efforts, we get like a sense of ownership and responsibility. So that keeps us away from the risk of getting into substance use. So yeah, that was the most impactful session for me. I'm passionate about being a prevention influencer, forcing people to stay away from these harmful substances. Yeah.
I've got news for you all. Each and every one of you already is a prevention influencer. You're doing it right here, right now. You're doing it in your communities. I love it. I love it. Nori, did you have a highlight to share with us?
Yeah, I do have a highlight to share with you all. And actually to reflect myself and to reflect the forum, actually, what I have to highlight about it is that we have to give and take. Actually, what to give is that I give all my best to attend the forum. I learn what you have to take. And also I learn about all information needed to give back to my community. What I believe is that I have to do my best for my community as a powerful youth. Actually, what I hold in my mind is that youth is powerful these days. Youth are influencing everyone. And this has to be the most important thing that we have to learn, that we have to put in our mind, that we are powerful. I think attending the forum is like one opportunity for me to actually learn and be the best, give the best to my community as for the substance use.
I was actually about to share this when Jigme said. So at a particular moment for me, I think it's similar to what Mary shared. It was the fact that I met several youth that they say how the session helped to change their perspective on substance use as a whole. As someone who major in the medical fields, I have the fortune to attend several hospitals where there are substance use recovery program. And here I saw a lot of stigma around them. Like people look at people with substance use like they are criminal, that like they are the low list of society, which really disheartened me because I think everyone should have a chance. And like Jigme say, sometimes it's not their fault that they got into substance use. So it is very encouraging for me to see that there are all forums set up by organizations that help to motivate, educate, and overall improve the perspective among like future generation like us on this particular issue. So hopefully in the future, all of us can like work toward a better societal reaction to this issue.
Yes, thank you so much. One of the most important or memorable takeaway for me was that substance use disorder, it's a health condition more than something that has to do with our willpower. And one more thing that I would like to add is that, as Jigme said earlier, that everyone has their own story and their own struggles. But for me, I personally come from a place where I have seen people who were in substance abuse lose their lives and also create problems for their family. So I have lived the perspective of villainizing, quote unquote, villainizing the people who use substance abuse because they have done wrong, and also another person who has lost their lives. So I had a lot of unlearning to do because a lot of stigmatization were true in my case. And a lot of the other parts, like they lose themselves even. So I had a lot of unlearning to do in terms of having empathy to understand that we don't have any one set rule or formula that will be true for everyone. And yes, everyone has a different story. We cannot apply the same rules or learnings for everyone. It has to be tailored. We'll have to keep the context very much in mind. And I'm fumbling a bit. I'm sorry. This is quite personal to me. But yeah, I also learned that every body is different. So if it is not affecting me the same way, but it might affect the other person the same way. So in my very own example, person B lost their lives, but person A is still going on full on healthy. So just because it is working for someone, it might not be true for you. So that were two things that I learned and unlearned.
And I want to thank you for sharing that personal, very personal example and story. And I also want to just acknowledge the wisdom that each and every one of you has already shared. The bits of wisdom and concepts that you've started to unpack are things many adults and professionals from around the globe still are working to learn, still are working to embrace and incorporate into their work and their daily lives. And y'all are doing it. I am so honored to be here with you all. And I kind of want to follow that same thread of being a prevention influencer and tease out some more of that wisdom. So I'm curious if you could share some more of those new learnings, those new insights that you discovered during the forum, particularly related to, let's say, youth leadership or being a prevention influencer.
Dave, I would like to go first this time. That's okay. So I think one of the key takeaways for me was during the phase of developing our projects on various issues that we had prevalent in our own countries and how we would implement them. So, we were divided into various groups according to our regions and nations, and we had to develop projects related to the same. And as we did it, I think the first key takeaway would be that our problems, although very diverse and very catered to our regions, we all had a common ground where there was suffering, there was some sort of problem that we had to deal with, and it was a mutual feeling, right? And despite all of us developing projects of our own, there were these certain moments where if another group required help or assistance, people would assist and help out and work it out. And that I believe was at the core of the forum, that is to assist people who are into the usage of substance, and to have firsthand witnessed it with all of these amazing people here, as well as the ones we had met back at the forum. I think that is something that I will carry with me forward as well. So yeah.
I would like to add on this. So I guess this part of what I find interesting about the prevention influencer, because the term influencer so is very, I think, very more than it's related to social media and all. And I think if I recall correctly, one of the things about the youth declaration that we had at the end of the forum was about how we should utilize social media and new technologies in further advocating for these issues. So throughout the entire forum, I learned this very new concept of being like what an influencer is. Like a person of significant, particular influence through the use of social media. They maybe use it through like just precious posts. It may be influencing their own group of people, particularly maybe those that speak the same language or those that have the same niche of idea about the world. So I think my own takeaway, if I'm not sound too rambling, is that one of the unique thing about youth leadership itself in the modern context is that we have all these technology that we can use effectively to basically spread our message, to empower ourselves and empower others. We just need to know how to harness it, how to use it to the best of its ability. And only the first among this step is, well, by recognizing that new technology, social media, is something that we can use. And I guess that is my input on this question.
I am very, very much agree with what we just said. To me, in my point of view, to be a leader and to be the prevention influencer, we have to have that quality to influence, right? So we're the influencers. So we are the role model. So to have that quality, not everyone have that quality. We learn, we attend the forum, we gain the new experiences from the forums. So it's a bit reflecting me. I do believe that I can influence others, because I do believe that I have the quality to influence others. You know, Hui, the point Hui just throw is like very, very much appreciated, because this is really what I would like to highlight in this. So it's about how we do this. It's about how we prevent this. So as a prevention influencer, it's really concerning to see how the youth nowadays make the use of the substance. So it's not easy to influence others. So my point is that to have that quality in you to be a prevention influencer, so you can influence others.
I just want to add something on what Hui and Nori were saying. I remember Nori saying that youth are powerful. And, that is such a correct statement. And I think it defines the whole Asian Youth Forum, especially in this context, because youth, we're not just the leaders of tomorrow, but in this context, substance use is most prevalent in the younger generation. And I think as youth leaders and youth influencers, we have this power to not just connect the younger generation, not just influence the younger generation, but connect the younger generation and the older generation and make them have a certain amount of solidarity among them. And we can just make them understand each other's perspective and connect them at such a level that, we can foster a better future. Because I find that the younger generation and the old generation, they have a certain gap in communication. And that is one of the reasons that the younger generation feel unheard. And I think it's one of the reasons that leads to substance use. And if you can, I think that being youth leaders and influencers, we can form a connection between these two generations. And that is, I think, the whole message of the Asian Youth Forum, that youth are powerful and we are we are super important in regards of substance use and substance use prevention. Thank you.
I just would like to add one more point to the valuable insights of everyone, that prevention is a science, which makes it accessible, if the word is correct, that everyone can do it. It's not limited to just some people. Everyone can influence.
I like it. All of it. All of it. And I wanna flip the question just a little bit, and I'm curious, what are some of the unique challenges that you have experienced when it comes to advocating or sharing your voice or being heard as a youth leader?
I will share on this first, if everyone don't mind. And mind you, if this answer is too controversial, don't mind cutting it out. So one of the things I think in youth leadership that is the biggest obstacle, I think, is comparing our own influence to the establishment itself, like the old guard or something like that. So basically what I'm trying to get here is that a lot of youth leadership, I think we are very enthusiastic about our own future, our own worldview and such like that. And we have very unique opinion on certain things like substance use. Everyone here might agree that it is not like a personal failing. It is a disease that need to have more empathy about. But the existing perspective, the existing structures, current structure itself might deem this topic too sensitive, too controversial. They don't want people to question it, to basically make a fuss of it. So a lot of the time, from my experience, is that a lot of older generation, they might think about effort as futile, as like too disruptive, too childlike, like that. And that put us as a disadvantage because no one will take us seriously and no one will give us the time of day to even speak our mind. So I think it's very important as a result that from this forum, we need to find like-minded individuals to form a collective agreement, a collective declaration for us to continue to fight together on what we believe as a collective youth generation for a better future, for what we believe in. And yes, that's all.
Thank you, Hui, for we say very useful information. Thank you for pointing out the challenges. I do think that some people have the stereotypes. They think that they are based on the limited resources to be prevention influencer. I don't think we have some kind of limited resources in this. Some people think that the funding barrier, if you have the funding barrier, that will limit your ability to implement programs, to reach a wider audience and provide the comprehensive support. I would like to highlight now your information that you just give us about the social media. It's a technology. We live in a digital right now. So we do not need something bigger. We do need something bigger, but all we have to do, the smallest thing that we can do to overcome all these challenges is just use your social media. As a prevention influencer, I would like to mildly highlight that we use social media. Number one is social media. So social media is everywhere. Social media is everything. So we use social media for everything. So my point is that to have that quality in you, be a prevention influencer and influence as much as you can use or younger people out there about the substance use, and be the prevention influencer on social media. Do not hold onto something bigger. Start from something smaller, start with social media and influence others. That's it.
If it's fine with everyone, may I go next? Okay. So one of the most biggest hurdles while advocating or while influencing for this matter, for me personally, I've noticed is that we tend to not reach out to the target audience itself. As a youth myself, I am not very much associated. I do not come across people who are into substance use because of the mindset difference. So for me, it is that bit hard to reach out to them. And as Nori said, the power of social media. But I also feel that social media is very tailored to what you like. You're not going to see for example, if I like partying and if I like drinking a lot, then I'm not going to get the reels or suggestion of the reels, that is prevention influence, which is aims at preventing, because that is not my feed. My feed is very much based on what I like. So that's one downside of social media that I feel. And even in university level, to give you a very ground level examples, that people who use substances, they won't talk to people who, do not use substance. Like those people, the students are tagged as, oh, that's uncool, that's a nerd. We don't talk to them. We are the cool people. So this whole thing to redefine coolness is one hurdle, I feel. But given the knowledge that I have gained from the forum, I feel like we can, that it's a problem, yes, but it's not it is solvable.
I think to me and personally to what I have observed in my community as youth leaders, in the context of substance use, would be the the stage of acceptance that people have reached when it comes to, let's say, certain substances like alcohol or tobacco, for that matter, wherein it's turned into a very acceptable norm to do that, be it amongst my peers or be it amongst people of my age, right? And I believe that is, I mean, when it comes down to, other substances, there is still that thing in their head that, there's something we got to stay away from or so. But when it comes down to something like alcohol, they have just normalized it so much that they do not see the difference sometimes. And I think as in specifically contextually, if I speak, then that would be a very personal challenge to me in my community to make sure that my peers and the people around me are much more aware and much more knowledgeable about what are also the ill health effects, and understand that it's not just a certain set of substances that we speak of, but also something this common and available.
Okay, so I agree with all of the points they were saying, especially Vinny's point and Shine's point. And one of the hurdles that we face in my country specifically is a lack of research and data. Our country is a very small country, so we have very limited research in these kind of fields. And for relevant organizations, NGOs, government organizations to take action and to reach a larger audience, we need significant funding and significant reach. But the thing is, I'm a very, very small youth leader. I don't really have much of an audience. And the thing is, I do not have the influence, at least not right now, to reach a greater audience. And in order to convince these organizations to help me, I need research and data saying there are these many people who are using substances. There are these many people who, these are the harmful effects of these substances in these people, in the younger generation, in the older generation. We need specific data and research. And that is extremely lacking, especially in the context of my country. So I think that is one of the greatest hurdles that we face. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy, for the very good information. And also, I'd like to thank Shine for pointing out a very, very good highlights. So I'd like to add on to a little bit of my points just now. So as a prevention influencer, we do believe in prevention. I do think that prevention is better than cure. So to have that quality on social media to attract the youngsters, to attract the potential people open to the substance use, or to attract that people, we have to have that kind of quality. Not all people can attract people. Not all people can give information to people. So as a prevention influencer, you have to have this kind of attraction. You have to have that aura so people can listen to you. So instead of talking about curing, let's talk about prevention at a young age, prevention towards the potential people. So I do think that social media is one of the use people can use. It's actually one of the most influential thing people could do. So as a prevention influencer, social media is one of the role that youth could show and youth could do. It's the least we can do. Thank you.
Okay, so adding to my friend's valuable ideas, I would like to acknowledge that we have a very big challenge from media as well. Because media is integrated in our lives and it has brought us both opportunities as well as lot of harmful things as well. So about the substances, there's a lot of marketing and promotions going on, and we have to counter those narratives. And those marketing and promotions have given youth with a lot of wrong perceptions about the substances. So we have to counter these arguments and with accurate information and real narratives about them. And as Nori mentioned, it is not something easy. We need to have a very specific and very talented. We have to be talented and skill set for this. I acknowledge it as a challenge, but we are not giving up. We will try our best.
Yes, never quit. Perseverance, persistence, and really this next question, Jimmy, you inspired me, and I want to just create space for you all to influence global prevention leaders right here, right now. So what might be one thing we could do as prevention leaders, as adults, to help empower you and youth in our communities to share their voice and be prevention influencers? What can we do to help lift you up?
I think that, the older generation, not exactly older, but the generation that came before us, what they can do for us, the younger generation, is that they shouldn't just focus on, you can't really start to change the mindset of the younger generation by saying that, oh, you shouldn't do drugs, you shouldn't do that. I think what the generation that came before us has to do is they have to connect with us at a emotional level. They have to be with us. They have to, be present with us. They have to understand our circumstances. They have, how do I say this now? I'm having a very hard time phrasing this, but what the older generation can do is they can help us understand their situations and also understand our situation at the same time. Because even though we are all humans, we have very different situations, especially, the different generations, different situations, everything. And I think what they can do is connect with us emotionally, be with us, give us time, and, help us understand your situation, but at the same time, understand our situation. I think that's the basis of it.
I think just adding up to what Jimmy said, I think what we could expect from you would be not sympathy and a lot more of empathy. The generation as Jimmy just pointed out, that has come before us, it needs to understand that people who are affected because of substance use, they do have something that they might be going through. So when you're empathetic towards them, you would probably look at them through the eyes of, humanity, and as humane as you could get to while dealing with them and while addressing them, or even to the most minute detail, to call them out not as addicts but as people who are in substance use, right? And not anything, even in terminology, not to use anything derogatory. So these are tiny things that I think could make a huge difference and could cause ripple effects in the way people who are used to substance are dealt with and rehabilitated.
Adding to the points of Jigme and Ine, I would like to just say this, that we would like adults, the older generation, to give more credibility to the ideas of the youth and to listen to the ideas of youth. And then I think we can head to a direction where we can integrate the new ideas of the youth and the wisdom of the older generation to tailor a more innovative idea to tackle this issue.
And from the declaration we had from the 11th Asian Youth Forum, the most impactful lines for me was that as youth, we stand as your partners in prevention. regard us as your partners in prevention. We are prevention influencers. So from adults, we request you that consider us as your partners in prevention.
You're speaking right to my heart there. Oh my goodness. If you've listened to other episodes, y'all know that my tagline is prevention is better together, and together we are stronger. So thank you for sharing that. Did you have something?
No, I just wanted to agree with what Senori already say. The word partnership is very important in this sense, because I think it's important for us both to both the youth and the preceding generation to work together. Youth have a perspective, and it's also our future. The preceding generation have the power, they have the wisdom that come with it. Together, I think we can help each other. So I think it's one of the things that I want to say is just give youth like a equal platform for us to express our opinion, for us to contribute to what is being done, what is being thought upon by the establishment, by the older leaderships. I think that would be great as a building block. So like building the next generation of leadership, building like a better partnership between like older and new generation, like, reduce that generational gap.
Yes, indeed. Y'all are sharing wonderful wisdom. I mean, you just said the older generation has the wisdom. I see the wisdom right here, right now in this room. Y'all are sharing so much wisdom that we can learn from you. And I think I want to slightly shift our focus, still along the same lines of partnership and together is better. But I'm curious, what was it like connecting with peers from other countries at the forum, and how did those interactions shape your views on collaborations across cultures?
I guess I'll speak on this matter a bit before I can know what you want to say. So I have had experience, fortunate enough, to travel the world, to went to similar forums such as this one. And one of the things I think take away from why we should have like this get together, this union of culture, is that it's easy for us, especially now that internet has become so prevalent, to make opinion based upon what is being widely spread. I think, and I hope none of my friends here take offense, there's a lot of negative stereotype about India and like South Asia from my country. I think me personally, I never held any like preconceived negative thought of any culture at all. But one of the things I see that people form their opinion on what they see on the internet a lot. They see dirty food from India, they see horrible stories from India, and then they just form their own conclusion that India is just like a bad place. But now that I in India, I have the fortune to go to India. One of the things I first noticed when I step up like the Kochi International Airport is that this just looked like my home. Like it exactly just look just like my hometown. It doesn't have that much different. Maybe the people maybe look a bit different, but the way they organize themselves, the way the market is being done, the way people live their life is exactly the same. It's even the food is not that different, to be honest. So I guess like through like this get together, we get to know each other. Like we see each other. Like though there are not a lot of chances for people to travel abroad and see other culture. So these are like precious moments for we to get together to like disprove these negative stereotypes and like reinforce better, interesting perspective into each other culture. I learned that India has a lot of like diverse type of people. Some of them might not look what to be preconceived Indian faces, like some from Nagaland, for example, like that. There's also people from Bhutan, people from Nepal, all of which like very interesting culture when you really get down to know each of their own niches. So I think that is what I found most interesting from this dynamic.
I love Hui's perspective regarding the general cultures relations and also in terms of substance use. And also I'd like to highlight my point is that how can actually this forum be related? How can we influence peers from other countries? For me, it's a downside of the social media influence itself, as Shine just point out just now, right? So the downside of social media influence, actually influence a lot in nowadays because we are in digital, right? So despite these challenges, my role as a prevention influencer myself and to prevent the substance use and regarding the peers. So by addressing these obstacles and staying committed to my goals, I can actually make a positive impact on the lives of many individuals and communities, including the peers, right? So actually to prevent, we're talking about prevention. So to prevent, instead of we showing love, that's the correct thing to do. That's the most important thing to do. We show love, we talk to them, we attract them. We can actually ask them to do another thing, such as what I've learned in the forums. We can do sports, we can do something, another distraction from drugs, from the substance use. So I do believe that if we attract, we show love, we highlight sports, we highlight more communities events, for example, we could actually make a living impact to that and save the lives of many individuals and communities.
Okay, so what I was saying is this was my first event where I met people from so many different countries. But India in itself is so diverse that even if all the states within the country meet together, it will still feel like we are meeting like people from different countries because of the cultural diversity, the language and the food, everything. But when I went there in Kochi and I met people from different states within India and from other countries as well, what I felt was that, well, they are not very different. We all are very same. And as humans, and yes, we might look different, we might speak different languages, but in our core, we are very similar than what we might think. Like we might think, oh, they're from a different country. But then when we spoke, it was not very different at all. Like the human emotions in terms of that. And maybe that's because everyone was from the same continent. I don't know if this will be the same if we meet people from other continents. But as for now, I hold the belief that we have more similarities than we think we do.
I just have one point to add in. While we were organizing the whole event for the youth forum, so we were coming across the names for word prevention, and we found out that it's so similar. So like as she was talking about India having diverse, but then whenever we try to find a word for prevention, it had the same wordings and its same script. I mean, the scripting would be a little different, but it had the same wording. So we realized that the word prevention has a lot of similarities. The same way, I think over here, all of us have the same goal, which is like prevention. And I think that's one thing that culturally and we are bonding somewhere for this whole thing. So I guess, I mean, that was a really interesting fact about cultural exchange and, the collaborations and all of that. So, yeah.
I want to add something about the bonding among the delegates. So we had delegates from 13 countries, and hats off to the organizing committee for this one, because I had my roommate for the 5 days was from Bhutan, and I met several people from other countries as well, and we had an amazing cultural night. We went to visit places, we went shopping, and we were together. And that bond, talking about each other's issues in the countries. And actually, the last day we promised to support each other's project. So that bond is really valuable. Thank you.
So I actually love Shine's point. She was saying that, we have to break down these cultural barriers and you have to understand that we are all one. And I really love that point. And I think one of the most interesting things about this forum was I learned so much. Honestly, I had this coming from my country, I had very limited ideas, in all honesty. And, interacting with people from all these different cultures and backgrounds, and they really opened up my mind. They had such good ideas. They had such creative ideas on how to go about substance prevention. And, I think this was the best part about the whole 5D program. They presented their idea. They were presenting their ideas, and I was basically stealing all the ideas. I was like, oh, I got to try this back home. I got to try this. I got to try this. They had so many ideas. They were so creative. I think that was one of the most special parts about, bringing together so many cultures and backgrounds.
I like it. I like it. Okay, so we've been chatting for a bit. I've asked you all a lot of questions, and you have shared some incredible wisdom. I have just 2 questions left. And so the first one being, when you look back on your experience at the forum, how has it helped you grow, both personally and as a leader?
I would like to go first on this. Okay, so looking back at the forum, this is I'm sorry if I'm biased, but I saw incredibly strong women taking the lead. And as a person who lives in the south of India, we do face a lot of, patriarchy, to say. And then when I came to this so big event, and I see Shalini ma'am, I see Diana ma'am, I see Dichin ma'am, I see professors from Philippines and then from Indonesia, and they are sorry for my language, but they are such badass. And I am so inspired. And it was not only me, I could see the sparkle in all the girls. They were so happy to see that, okay, this can be done. And I'm not saying this in any bad connotation, but these were older and wiser women. And somehow in media, we think that, oh, if you're getting old as a woman, your opportunities will be limited. That all of these were misconceptions were shattered left and right. And I saw everyone, Dichin ma'am, Diana ma'am, Shalini ma'am, and Professor Grace. And I'm sure everyone is very inspired by all of this. And I think in my personal journey, I am so inspired that at this point, I feel that I genuinely can do anything.
I think that is one thing which the forum did to all of us. It just left us to believe that you can do it. Just as Shine said, when we left the forum, we left with the belief that out of all the days that we spent, we will do something back home or at our place. Doesn't matter the resources that we have or whatever we could garner. But I think that's one feeling that is very mutual to everybody here and to all those who had attended the forum back. And just on a personal note, to me, what would the main takeaway from all of this would be something to give back, because as I had one of my relatives, close relatives, who had succumbed to the usage, and by God's grace, today they are well, they are good. But it was something that, made me feel vulnerable, because it could be anybody. It could be that close of a relative. It could possibly be anybody, right? But I think the forum empowered you that way to know that there is something that you as a youth, you as a kid, you as a person could also go and do something about it. And professionally, of course, as an opportunity, it was something that has enriched everybody professionally. So, yeah.
I strongly resonate with Shine and Winnie that this conference really boosted my confidence. Oh my God, these people have given me such an amazing, incredible opportunity. So they believe in my potential. So I can do this. I can be a prevention influencer. I can do something really great and really valuable to my community, to the countries, and across the world. So that was a great inspiration for me.
Adding on just a bit, I think by attending the forum, it's really much power. I feel so much empowerment in that. I do think that by just socializing to everyone is so powerful. So I have come to my conclusion that youth are powerful, that I think everyone is super competitive there, to the point that I think we're going to have a better future with this kind of youth and this kind of elderly people with the youngsters. And I think the powerness is just really something that we could build on, that we could use on to our future. So I do think that this kind of forum, this kind of program should be held everywhere in the world so that we can prevent the substance use and we say, hire more youngsters, hire more influencers to spread information and to prevent the substance use.
Yes, I'll say something again. So actually coming to the forum, no, I actually study animal science and my course was not related to this program at all. I was just like a simple youth leader. And coming to the forum, I was like, I'm so overwhelmed. What am I going to do? These people are doing their masters in mass communication, public relations, psychology. They have courses related to this program. And I was like, what am I going to do? But then I started to talk with the participants. Then I started to talk with the youth leaders and they were like, yeah, I was the same. I did this. I was nervous too. And I realized, it made me grow as a person. It made me realize that I have to take the first step to become a better person, to be an example for the people that look up to me. And, I was looking at, like Shane was saying, I was looking at all of the professors, the trainers, Ma'am Dichin, and all the others, and they really inspired me. And I think that's the biggest change that it has brought in me. It has inspired me to be a better person. It has inspired me to make a change, maybe not global, maybe not international, but make a change, at least within my own community.
Ready for the last question? So I'm curious, what is one thing you're going to do within the next, say, 2 to 3 weeks now, having attended the youth forum?
So as I told before, I'm an undergraduate studying in University of Perak. So in our university, there are a lot of student societies which are focusing on different things. For example, community service, career guidance, mental health. But for now, we do not have student society specifically focusing on the substance use prevention. So I had one other friend from Sri Lanka who is from my university, the same university. So we are going to establish a society. The society will be Pulse of Prevention, and that is our project. And we'll be establishing the society and be the founding members of that society. That is our project.
In my community, I think what we'll be doing for the next few weeks is that, as Jimmy had pointed out earlier, during our time at the forum, while planning out our project proposals, we realized that there is a huge research gap for everything that we wish to do or any project that we wish to implement. So my few steps right now have been on the same line to bridge the research gap on statistics, on issues related to substance use within my community, so that there is something of relevance that we could possibly implement further using the same data.
So for my target, I came from Malaysia to the forum, and I actually have a target to implement. And I think bringing Malaysia on my back, I represent youth, and I do think that what I want to highlight is that the mushroom vape substance use. So apparently in Malaysia, there are a lot of youngsters been using the vaping with substance. So my target is that the same line is my project proposal as well. I do want to implement a program where it is highlighting on the mushroom vaping substance use. On the same line, I will work on the project implementation. Probably go and seek for a suitable school where I want to implement the program at. So I do think that these are kind of the first steps that I will do before my project proposal get approved, and I will be able to define to the higher ups what about my proposals and stuff if I get asked. So my plan is that to reach a higher understanding of my own project proposal, and that is what I'm doing right now.
they all have such great projects coming up. And my projects are actually rather very, very small compared to theirs, to be honest. So I have actually 3 things lined up for the next couple of weeks regarding this youth forum. So I'm actually a president of this society called Youth Peer Education Network. And it's basically a sub-network of this huge organization back in Bangkok. And we're actually going to be doing a sensitization program. And one of the topics that we'll be discussing with the students of my college will be, substance use and, substance use prevention and substance use disorder. And we'll be doing a short sensitization program on that. And the second thing that we're going to be doing is we actually have this thing called CNR YPR podcast. And it's actually a very, very simple podcast. And we release the episodes on a monthly basis on SoundCloud. And I think we're going to include a topic discussing substance use and substance use disorder. And the last thing that I have lined up is actually a speech on the Asian Youth Forum and, all of the related topics. And I'm going to be doing a speech in front of my college. So yeah, that's it.
So as I have introduced before, I have the fortunate to work in the field that I like. I work for NGO also that we are already working on like empowering youth and vulnerable communities. And actually one of our upcoming project that we already have the grants for would be to basically first we would be able to conduct like a survey for youth for them to talk about their own struggle with substance use, their perspective on it, and for which we will then use our connection and our associate connections to essentially gather all these stakeholders like these university, colleges, high school, treatment clinic together for us to basically have them together and have this survey for them to discuss and introduce like resources, like existing resources, and coordinate with each other to see what they can do for the future. It's a very small step indeed, but I think it's one of the things, I think that is one of the more promising things. And actually through this podcast, through what we already share, I also think about like a potential like new project. I'm not sure how long I'm going to work on it for, but hopefully using like social media, like existing like influencer, we can hopefully empower youth more, talk about substance use. And that is what I'm aiming for like a future project, like basically to have influence in Vietnam to be able to talk about substance use and use that to spread the message, to spread, to educate the population a bit better.
Okay. So as for me, what I have planned to do is not just for the coming 2 weeks, but what I have planned to do is inculcate the whole prevention ideas that I have learned from the forum in my daily conversations, to talk about how it's not cool and stuff like that, and inculcate my own lifestyle in a way that is prevention led. And I'll just like to give one example why I think this will work is because I used to have this one particular sort of laptop, a Chromebook, and I used to think that, it's just a small laptop. I don't like it, but it was foldable. So the next semester, what I noticed was that one of my classmates, she told me, I love your laptop and I'm planning to buy it. And I see a lot of people in my class, they got the same laptop. So I think that I did some sort of influencing in that. So I feel like if I can do something in my own life, this will create, as Vinay said earlier, a ripple effect. So I plan to do that. And I also am in various leadership roles in my own university. So not to brag, but I am I do have some influence in my university. So I'll work like that, talk to my friends, and maybe my younger brother, he will learn something from me and his friends will learn something from him. So yeah, I do plan to do that. Thank you.
You all are prevention influencers, and you just reminded me of a bit of wisdom my father shared with me several times over the years, and so it finally stuck. And it's that you have to live by example if you want to lead by example. And y'all are doing it. I am honored and inspired by each and every one of you. And so grateful that you took time to share your experiences, both with me and with our global audience, because y'all are now global prevention influencers and you are creating positive change in this world. Keep up the wonderful work. And I'll just open it up. Any final parting words of wisdom or anything that you'd like to share that maybe we haven't shared yet?
Shine, go ahead. No, I was just going to thank the whole platform to giving us the platform to speak ourselves, speak our minds out. And I'm really grateful. And I think I speak on behalf of everyone, that every one of us are very grateful to have this opportunity to begin with. So thank you so much.
I just want to add that something interesting came up as an outcome of this whole forum was the declaration, very inclusive document that addressed specific regional issues as well as the universal problem of addiction, universal problem of substance use. It was a very proud moment when 6 of them stood on the stage and read out the declaration with such conviction. And it was really, literally had goosebumps coming up listening to them. And the declaration was as a symbolic sign submitted to the Honorable Judge of the High Court of Kerala, who came as a representative of state and was also submitted to Dishan, the trainer, principal trainer, and to Diana Joseph, the Foundation. So it was all very symbolic and it was all very coming from their hearts. It was an effort. It was a team effort. And it was a really long, I think, couple of pages declaration, and they included everything in it. It just covered everything. It's amazing what youth can come up with in just 5 days. And if it's just 5 days, they can do this, I can't imagine what will come.
Gonna change the world.
Yeah.
Nori, did you have something?
So to all people hearing this podcast, I just want to say that you are a prevention influencer yourself. It's just not about individual effort. It's about actually creating a global community that supports healthy choices and seeks to eliminate the harms of substance abuse. So let's just work together to promote education and awareness. By working together, we can create a world where the substance use prevention is a priority and where everyone has the opportunity to live a healthy and fulfilling life. That's it.
Round of applause to each and every one of you and listeners. I would like to invite you and encourage you to share this episode, help lift up the wisdom that these remarkable prevention influencers have shared with us. Let's lift up their message and get their wisdom out there to the world so we can all come together and build, nurture, foster that global community, because prevention is absolutely better together. And also check out the show notes for this episode. It will be filled with links to where you can get more information, get connected, and stay connected with this amazing team. Thank you again to each and every one of you. And thank you, listeners. Keep on doing the amazing work and being amazing people that you are. Thank you very much. That concludes this episode. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and share this episode with a friend before you leave. And we look forward to seeing you on social media, because prevention is better together. Together, we are stronger.